like the one we're in right now. And so thank you to those who had shared previously, but if anyone else wants to share in chat, would love to know, have you practiced yoga before? If you meditate or not? If so, how often? And I know a few of you had mentioned already, but if anyone else wanted to add in, you're welcome to do that. Why yoga? Lots of benefits. You may have heard these before. Increased focus, building strength. We work on increasing balance and flexibility. And you don't have to be any of those things to attend a yoga class or to practice yoga. You don't have to be very flexible. You don't have to be very strong. And you don't have to have good balance or lots of flexibility. Can also help you with building resilience, which is what we'll be talking about today. There are 8 limbs of yoga. This is something that I've been practicing yoga for about 15 years, and this wasn't something that I came across until I began my first teacher training. So those who aren't yoga teachers may not even be aware there are 8 limbs of yoga. The 3 that are in boldface, asana, the physical postures. That's typically what you associate, or I would associate with a yoga class when I go to a yoga studio, unless it's specified that it's specifically a meditation class or a breathwork class. The others, pranayama, the breathing, and dhyana, the meditation. And those are the 2 we'll be focusing on today. Meditation can sound scary. It can sound intimidating if it's something that you've tried before and have had difficulty with, but one of my teachers made it very simple and clear to me from the beginning that every breathing practice is considered a meditation. So if you're noticing your breathing, if you're focusing on your breathing, you're meditating. It doesn't have to be a very complicated thing. It can be. That can be fun too, but it can be very simple as well. Breathing and meditation are very flexible. They can be done while you're seated. They can be done while you're standing up, walking around even. They could be done while you're lying down. And you can move, you can stay still. The choice is yours. And remember these things as we go into the practices today, that if it feels right and you'd feel better standing up and walking around while you're practicing, you can do that. You can stay seated. You could also be lying down. Different ways to meditate might include chanting, playing an instrument, gardening, cooking a beautiful meal, watching your breath, even dancing. If you're fully focused and immersed on what you're doing, you can count that as meditation, just being really present right here, right now. There's an article cited below from Psychology Today. It's a magazine, and current research shows that the regularity of meditation practice is more important than the type, which I found very interesting. You know, you might think that you have to be, if you've seen pictures of people meditating in a magazine or practicing yoga or breath work, you might think that it has to look a certain way, that you have to sit very, very tall and be very, very still and have your eyes closed. And the research shows that just being regular with your practice, being consistent, and maybe having a daily practice, or even 3 or 4 times per day, or anytime you think of it, more useful than just the type. This is a US number. I don't have one for the world, but you can see, according to information from the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, that meditation in the United States, more people are taking it up. In 2012, it was 4% of American adults, and by 2017, it was up more than 10%. 14.2% of American adults practiced meditation in 2017, or they reported doing so. And I anticipate that the number is higher. I hope it is. When I work with people who've never experienced yoga before, I say that this is the main thing. It's being present right here, right now. and that all of the tools we use, whether it's a yoga pose or it's a breathing practice or a meditation. It could even be smelling a beautiful essential oil that I pass out on cotton rounds for my in-person classes. Because when you're actively smelling something, that's all that you're doing. You're not doing anything other than observing the smell and using your sense of smell as your portal to meditation. And so it can be as simple as that. We'll move into our first breathing practice. And so getting comfortable, remembering you can have eyes open or closed. You can be seated. We understand if you turn your video off and lie down, or we see you go off, we just see feet up in the air, or if we see you walking around. And if you're seated, you might invite your spine to lengthen. And you might have both feet touching the ground, the bottoms of the feet resting on the ground. Perhaps even wiggling your toes a few times, feeling the surface of the ground beneath you, the carpet, the floor. Allowing your hands and arms to rest where it's comfortable. Maybe hands rest on the lap or your arms rest on your desk. You might begin to align your ears over your shoulders. You might align your shoulders over your hips. If your eyes are open, you might start to soften your gaze, maybe looking toward the ground a few feet in front of you. And as you do, turning your attention to notice your breathing. Allowing your breath to be as it is. Without any need to change or fix anything about how you're breathing. But noticing the breath flowing in and flowing out. We'll continue watching the breath for about a minute. And if your mind starts to wander, can you gently bring it back to noticing the breath? And gently bringing your attention back to the breath as many times as needed. Perhaps even treating it like a game. Oh, my mind wandered again, coming back to the breath. Continuing to notice the pace of the breath. And perhaps any other qualities of the breath. The breathing is fast or slow. Maybe inviting the spine to lengthen, sitting a little bit taller. And as you're ready, opening your eyes. Maybe raising your gaze if your eyes were already open. Would love to hear from you and see what you thought of this practice. Was this easy? Was this challenging? Did your mind wander a lot?